Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing Media and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode. It's early in the morning. 1, 2.
It's like a morning talk show.
It is like a morning talk show, except morning talk show. That's why people on morning talk shows have like all that energy, because it's just like, otherwise they'd be like this.
Oh, they'd be like this.
And really, they just suck up a lot of coffee, and they're like, "Good morning, everybody," and you just want to punch them in the throat because it's all fake.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, media, and cupcakes.
Welcome to Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. I'm John Ondo, along with my beautiful wife, Angel.
Hi there.
She has a cupcake business on the side.
I do.
And she's a full-time customer service rep for a big company.
Let's say I'm a trainer.
A trainer?
Well, I'm a customer service trainer.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, yes.
Yeah.
You're a pro, though. You're a customer service pro.
There we go. I like that title better.
There you go. And I am a filmmaker and TV producer and podcaster.
An all-around busy man.
And a busy person because it's summer, although I just found out my son's baseball season that we were planning on it coming back was canceled last night.
Which is so disappointing and so stupid, but we won't get into that.
It is, and they're still trying to make it happen with the parents, but it's just like, and I hate to say this because I was really looking forward to watching him play, is it's too late. I have things that I have to plan, and I can't keep holding my weekends in suspension for a baseball season because we have things we need to do as a family, and we can't just say, well, the weekends for the rest of the summer are now blocked off because we have to have baseball.
It's difficult.
It is.
Everything right now is difficult.
Everything is difficult, but normally we do our podcast at least a day or if not an evening ahead of time, but because of...
Sometimes weeks.
Because, sometimes we have actually next week's show already kind of done. I shouldn't say that, but this week, due to the insanity of the week, and I've been traveling and everything, we're actually recording the podcast on the morning. Literally after we record this, I will edit and it will go up today because it's June 4th and it's time for this to go up online.
I'm calling this McDonald's Fast Podcasting.
Fast Podcast Day. So, but we do have things to talk about. We just couldn't get to them because it's been busy. And we want to talk a little bit about today is how you should be thinking about using video to change your life. But first, Angel, who has been also kind of getting back up into speed, making cakes and cupcakes again. You have a cupcake or a cake suggestion today for the audience.
It's been a while, but one of the things that I've noticed in doing my baking and as I've been watching different things is that they always talk about your ingredients should be at room temperature. And, I have actually found that to be fairly accurate. Long gone are the days where
you can't put like milk and cream at room temperature.
You can, and
really?
And how? So maybe this would be my tip: is that instead of if you're paranoid, a lot of people don't like to let their butter sit out. They don't like to let their milk sit out. They think, oh, everything's going to go bad, and your eggs and whatever. So I have a couple of different tips to make you feel better, so you still get that room temperature. Consistency, if you will, or whatever I'm trying to say early in the morning, without leaving it sit out. So a couple of things. If you take your eggs and just put them in a little bath of warm water and let them sit for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how warm the water is, then you'll have room temperature eggs like that without leaving them sit out. Also, to get yourself some room temperature milk, again, just pour whatever milk you need in your cup or container or whatever, how much, and pop it in the microwave. Do short, depending on the volume of milk, do short little 10 to 15 second bursts, or if you're doing a larger amount, maybe 30 seconds. Give it a stir, and you now have room temperature milk. So
I'm assuming not unlike contractors and such that work with concrete and other things, that the room temperature causes expansion and contraction that you do not want, as certain parts are different temperatures.
I think that you're exactly right. So having learned my lesson when I cook a lot with oil in my cake recipes, so I'm, sharing something, because butter is finicky and butter has to be done exactly right, and butter has issues. So if you're using room
But it's
temperature butter,
delicious.
well, yeah, but it also gives the cake a different crumb, and it makes things a little more dense and a little heavier. And I like things a little bit lighter and a little bit moister, and that's where oil gives you that. But if you have butter and your butter is nice and you're whipping and you're doing all this, and then you add a cold egg to it or cold milk, then it's going to seize that room temperature butter and maybe harden some of those little pieces and take out some of that air and that lift you've gotten from beating it. So I've experienced, again, dumping everything in, not a good idea. Not using things that are at least room temperature, at least everything being similar. It's just a good idea. So there's ways to get around leaving things sit out, so you don't feel like you're going to make someone sick by leaving it out, by doing a few of those little things.
I was just so excited last weekend watching the SpaceX stuff go up.
Oh God, it was everywhere in our house.
I've loved space, and going back to talking about the old days, I grew up, I was born in 1967, so I grew up, we're sending people to the moon, as I was a kid. It's like, we're going to the moon, we're splashing down, we're going to the moon, and we're going to put a space station. It was just the coolest thing. You turn on the TV, and it was just that shot of NASA for 5 hours with the controllers, and I'm like, this is so cool. And then it stopped, and I'm like, what? We've been putting men on the moon for thousands of years, it seemed like to me. So it was exciting to see it go back and see the cool SpaceX and see what Elon Musk and all these entrepreneurs have done to take something that was government run. And everybody kept saying this is the first commercial. You know what? The government didn't build the Saturn V and the Apollo. Grumman and Rockwell and all these companies build it for NASA. So it's funny when they're sitting back, it's like, this is the first commercially built. No, it was always built by companies. They were the subcontractors for NASA. Anyway, I'm on my little soapbox. America's always built the rockets and done the things, but it's very, very, very exciting. But it also shows the change we're having, because there was a time there was no space shuttles, and entrepreneurs came in and said, this is a market, this is something we need to do, and we're going to build something new. Likewise, with the COVID crisis and the new world order that we have, that we're going to have to be more careful about, how we do things. But moreover, I think there's been a cultural change, and you've seen this. Your business is not going back to the office, at least anytime soon. Some people can, but most people aren't, right?
We're back. I forgot to share with John, because again, we don't get to see each other
it changes
too
every day.
often. There is now, I don't know that it's going to happen, but there's a possibility that we could go back as, June. But again, percentage-wise, not every day, but by June 15th. So
have some work.
And I've already said, because I'm tired of the back and forth and I've already said, I will return on June 15th. Okay. So let's just put it in writing, carve the stone, throw away the key, whatever happens. If that's the date they need people to go, let's go. Because I, like I said, and John has said, I'm tired of the whatever, and let's move on. So unlike, I have to have these kind of strict things, whereas John can be more nimble. And that's the question I wanted to ask him, because I don't see him very often anymore, because he is busy as, it's a phrase I used to use, a one-arm paper hanger. It's not meant to be rude. It's just, if you have the arm tied behind your back, not that you're missing it.
I think anybody who was a one-arm paper hanger would probably be the most amazing paper hanger. So I take it as a compliment.
Since John used to love to hang wallpaper, but that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, I don't do it anymore.
No, you should not. But anyway, so video, again, this isn't new. People posting, doing things like this isn't new. However, this is what's been happening in certain industries, because you can't gather, because you can't have lots of people. You have to find a different way. And so they've taken this, this medium, if you will, and said, hey, let's try something different. So John has been very, very busy consulting and helping and doing things when it comes to video, and specifically whether it be live video, whether it be like produced, whether it's live to tape, whether it's, Facebook Live. That's what he's been doing. So we don't see each other, but that's why I wanted to ask him some questions as to, again, all of this again, has had a silver lining. We thought it wasn't going to at first, but now it has.
I say this for years about everything. I've talked about the post office. People 10 years ago used to say white mail and the post office will be out of business. And then Amazon came along, and now I see the mailbox or the mail trucks running on Sunday.
Yep.
So don't ever say never. So in the video production world, most people do what's called post-production. You go out with a couple cameras, you shoot your stuff, you come back, you edit it looks all very pretty, and you post it. And one of the areas I work a lot with is with churches, faith-based organizations who have their services. And oftentimes, because we have gotten very used to, it's easier to go in, shoot with cameras, shoot a service, and then go back and edit it, add the graphics, make it look all pretty, and then a week or two later, we post it. That worked great because it looked good. But what happened was when COVID hit and people could not go to church anymore, people want the services now, live. Live video production is an art. It is something, if you've done television production with news or sports, you know how that works. And you can't just put a team of people in who've never done live television and expect it to look as good. It looks kind of sloppy, or it's really, really simple so you don't make mistakes. I have a huge background with live television, so I began getting calls from churches saying, we need to make our Sunday morning stream. Sometimes they were taping it ahead of time, but we need to tape it in real time. 1 hour, it's in and out, and have it perfect. And that's an art. And so we have begun consulting a lot of churches, helping them get the right equipment, helping them to train people. We've got one church that we're working with primarily that is an amazing group of people, and they had a tech team, but this was a whole new level because, again, they were just, here's a single camera shooting the service, and now it's become a production. But they knew people are not going to go back to church the way they used to.
No.
And they are not going to be going back, in most cases, to church till maybe next year. And here's the reason why. And you'll understand this if you have kids or young kids, you're not going to take your kids back to a church, to a church kids ministry, if there's a chance they could get sick, or you don't know if they're doing everything right. And it's just, how it is. It's bad enough with just normal colds and sniffles. A lot of parents are very like, I'm not taking my kids there. And I get it. So churches are not going to be able to go back to normal for quite a while. Some churches are reopening, they're doing so, but they're still limited by how many people. They're not opening their children's departments or anything like that. People are going to be watching online. Another issue that this is a personal thing with me, is large churches that are over 500, and there's many churches that are 1,000, 2,000 people. The experience of going to a church that's that big, you don't have the personal contact with pastors, and you have small groups, and there's a different scenario with it. I think a lot of people, like myself, will say, I would rather watch it at home, still attend the church with small meetings and men's groups and all that, but I'll just watch it from home because I have no advantage, because I don't have any real interaction with a larger church with a pastor, because you don't see them after church. It's just too big. They can't do that, and I'm not criticizing the church. It's just the nature of that size. So as a video consultant, what I've been telling a lot of pastors and a lot of churches is, you're going to lose people in the sense of they aren't going to be, as we say, butts in the seat. They're not going to be in the church. They're going to watch from home, or watch, at their own convenience, like a DVR. But they're still going to attend. They're still going to give. They're still going to participate. But they may not show up on Sundays anymore, which I think is a good thing, because churches that are looking at expansion programs of multiple $1 million, you don't have to do that now. You can work within you've been given a grace period of some more time. And now you can invest in your media department, which can reach far, far more people with your church message.
Yep.
So it's one of these things that it's changed the dynamic. And so we've been consulting with churches and trying to give them an idea of how this new world is going to work, because it does create a whole, and every church is different. Some churches are very regimented. If you're Catholic or Presbyterian or Methodist, they're like in at 10 and they're out at 10:45, and it never changes. And there's other churches that have wild worship and cool stuff, and it's different every week. And how do you construct, if you will, a broadcast, a stream of your service, and be consistent, because people don't consume streaming video like they do when they sit in a service. It goes back to an example I always use. The Rolling Stones are amazing live, but watching them on a Blu-ray or on an Apple TV at home is not the same. The experience is different.
I think, again, the whole experience is different. I think what people are missing is that connection with other people being in that space, because you cannot recreate that feeling of being in a group of people when you're worshiping. I think that's the big difference for me.
Yeah, they're two completely different experiences. There's no real rules. What we're doing in the sense of video production in my 30 years of doing live television. So my background is being able to go into a church setting and say, this is where the camera should be. This is how this should be shot. This is what you need to think about, maybe adjusting your service. So we don't want to mess up the experience at the church.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. But on the flip side, if you have a church, let's just say of 800 people, 200 people may be allowed or able to come back and be a part of it, where your church just drastically changed because that energy is gone. I'm sorry. When you're expecting 800 people to be there and there's only 150 because you can't put any more in, and it's set up differently, and there's no coffee and there's no things at your church, it's crazy. And that's going to work its way out in time, but people are going to be shocked to see the experience. So we have to bring that experience back into video somehow, and streaming and in real time. And it costs money. You're talking about thousands of dollars to get cameras, and then more importantly, getting people. I met with a great church the other day. They have a nice budget, $30 plus $1,000. But they said, we can't afford the training. And I said, let me know when you can bring me in, because I know what's going to happen. And it's very unfortunate. They're going to end up buying the equipment, installing it improperly, and then they're going to start shooting it, and there's going to be lighting issues, there's going to be camera issues, and they will lose members who will start watching other churches' podcasts. Because now, instead of just picking up and going to another church, and it's, again, I'm not here to say it's bad, it's just going to happen. So our message to a lot of faith-based organizations are, if you have the ability to do something with your stream, you better, because this is going to be a game changer. And I remember in 2008, I was working with a faith-based ministry. We saw the signs that the market was going to collapse. There was going to be all these things, and I remember in the meeting saying, this is going to be a completely different thing. And they were saying, we've weathered all these other times, it'll be fine. They didn't. And their organization is a third of what it used to be, because they anticipated they were going to just be fine. So if you're sitting out there as a faith-based, and I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative or not Mr. Non-faith, I'm just saying you need to look at the facts. If you're driving a car toward a cliff, you need to stop or slow down. If you're at a faith-based organization thinking things are just going to go back to normal, they aren't going to go back to normal. They are going to change drastically. It will be good. It will be fine. But if you do not adapt to the fact that video streaming is now going to be part of the church culture in America, and I always say, on top of it, that's not a bad thing. I've been saying it for years. For those in the faith-based world, we want to get our message out to the world. Why don't you want to put things on YouTube? Why don't you want to have your stream, live stream, running as best as possible and looking as professional as possible? So these are good things. I know churches right now that are saying, we don't want to put too much into our live stream. We don't want to make it look too good because we're afraid people won't come back. And I said that would be the same as Olive Garden right now, which is not doing dine-in, but they're doing takeout, saying, well, let's not make the takeout food that good because we want them to come back and eat at the restaurant. That's not how it works.
No. This
is the experience that we are going to be in from now on. And it's not because of COVID. It's because of convenience. Ooh, I just said a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be because of COVID. It's going to be because of convenience, because we have pushed the entire culture into the idea of, I can work from home. If you're not embracing live streaming, if you're not embracing the new change in how people are going to consume your video, no matter how traditional you are, you think, no, my people will always come back, you're going to lose a part of them. You're not going to lose them all, but you're going to lose a good part of them, especially if you don't adapt and have outstanding video streaming. And I'm not just saying this for my own company that helps. There's a lot of them all over the country, and it is very expensive, but your choice is adapt or lose your ministry. And I hate to say it like that, but I've seen it happen. And get somebody you trust. And if you, that's one of the things I try to do is build relationships with people and show them that, you know, my background, that I care, and this is not about money. This is about message. The world has changed, and I think it's going to be for the better. People working from home, I think, is better. If there's things you can, if this is maybe make questions, or you're thinking, you know, I wish my church would do something different, give me a call. Or our phone number is 614-933-3191. And or you can email me at john@ondomedia.com. We'd be happy to work. I'm very passionate about this. We want you to make it through this cultural transition we're going to go through. Adapt. If you are in a downtown area next to a big business, and your cupcake store or your donut store does great and has always done great, but now suddenly you're dealing with they're not bringing back their employees. They either have been furloughed for a while or they're staying home. Now you got a new problem. Mm-hmm. Should you move your donut or cupcake business from the downtown next to the big office building that may not reopen to a residential area because the people are working from home? We got to think about this stuff because, this was kind of the game changer. We have a podcast that we produce. We had the studio set up. It was ready to rock and roll, and then COVID hit, and they shut it down. And so nobody knew how long this was going to go on. So we got some headsets and began using some other techniques to do the podcast. It does not sound as good at all. I'm not happy with it, but we figured for a few weeks, hey, everybody's struggling. Well, now they're on whatever you call it. They're working from home indefinitely. So it's now suddenly we said, listen, we gotta switch. The studio we unfortunately put together is worthless now. We've got to put microphones in people's homes and figure out a way to make it sound like they're in a studio now. Because we kicked the can down the road for a month or so thinking, well, maybe next month we'll be back. And now it's at the point it's not coming back. So I think a lot of us have to wake up to the fact it's not coming back. It's changed, and let's get over there, and everything will be fine. It's just changed, and this is life. Things change all the time. Nothing's new. So that's how we look at everything, and I hope that makes some sense.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You're on a roll this morning, so there's really very little I can do.
So if you want more information about us, Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. We are also we have to do a website soon. I haven't had time, but we need to put the website up. But we really appreciate you listening. It has been, I know, a challenge for many of you. We have been trying to be nothing but encouraging, and I hope your business is doing well. But if there's anything we can do to help, John, John, at ondomedia.com is where you can reach me. Ondo Media is our video production company, podcast company, as well as angelscustomcupcakes.com, as if you want to see some of the amazing creations Angel makes all the time. But whatever you do, just be smart, be strategic, and keep living the dream.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.